There you are. Sorry, just listening to a bit of Akon, Locked Up. Great song for this time. So I've been asked to do a vlog. I had to look up what that meant, video log. Apparently it's what all the cool kids are doing these days. So I'm a kid who's cool, apparently. And just to share some of my thoughts on the last few weeks about this whole virus thingamajig. And yeah, if I look at it from a spiritual perspective, I see it kind of similar, like to, it's influencing the whole world. It's something that's spread across the whole world. And that reminds me of, Christianity. It's the gospel going across the whole world. And similar to the virus doesn't need a passport. It doesn't need a language. It speaks to all humanity in the same way the gospel speaks to all humanity, to all humankind. And it's really showing how connected we all are. Something that perhaps we've forgotten, how my actions or someone's actions across the world influences someone else across the world. How connected we are and how equal we all are. It doesn't matter about race. It doesn't matter about religion, faith, no faith, gender. It doesn't matter. It's the virus seeps into our human bodies. In the same way, the gospel is for all humanity. Every one of us is equal. It's for all of us. Also, it's highlighting to me the importance of friendships, definitely, but more so family and the family unit and the importance of that in society. Because that's where majority of us are retreating to, and some of us can't, and we're desperate to get back home. We want to be with our family, not every family is perfect. I understand that, but I'm sure in that too, there can be goodness coming out of this. Families may start to bond again. Some of them, I'm sure, find it very difficult, but in that, there's lessons to be learned. Also, it's really showing perhaps how egotistical we've gotten at times, of saying, oh, I'm fine, I'm grand, and we're just going about life and taking so much for granted. But here, this simple virus comes along and boom, we realise how limited we are. And the world stops, with a virus. The importance of our health and how precious the gift of life is and how fragile we are, And it's really as well, I saw, how that unfolded about how our decisions influence the well-being of others. And, that's such a gospel message. It's, love God and love your neighbor. And we're really, it's exercising our free will as well. The choice I make has an influence on another, on the greater good, on the more vulnerable in society. It's really highlighted that for me, and that's fascinating because that's what many of us are doing for the greater good, for society, for mankind to survive. It's, it's interesting. And how materialistic we are, in this time, it's actually water, shelter, food, I suppose medical care as well, but these are the more important things. It's not all the materialistic things we have. So that's interesting too. But for me, I kind of see this whole experience as, it's kind of like being grounded by my father, which I've had a couple of times. I won't share why. But, being grounded means sent to your room for something you've done wrong, of being bad. I wasn't listening to your warnings or to what you were telling me what to do. I've done something and you're angry at me, Dad. So you've sent me to my room to learn my lesson. So we've been told to go to a room. So what lessons are we learning? And there's two ways we can go about that. We can go to a room and get into bed and sulk, BED, blame, excuse and denial, not look at ourselves and blame others and have excuses. Or I can look at myself and pick up my ownership, accountability and responsibility and really reflect on myself. And why has God the Father sent me to my room? What have I to learn out of this experience? What have I to learn about myself? What have I not been responsible for? I need to take ownership of things in my life. So that's it really. It's kind of like I'm in my room and I want to use this as an opportunity. For me, definitely, yeah, it's a great time to draw closer to God. But also alongside that, I think it's a great time, such a blessing that we've been told to go to a room, to learn. I think the opportunity is to learn more about ourselves. Really, really learn more about ourselves, to reflect inwards, to go to introspect. And there's a piece of scripture, it's Hebrews, is it 6? I don't know, I think it's Hebrews 6. Can't remember. Brutal, I can't remember. But it's basically about, I think it's Hebrew 12, 6 to 13. And it's about God disciplining his sons and daughters and the reason why he's doing so. If you look that up. And there's a piece I came across during the week. It's by a philosopher or mathematician in the 17th century, Blaise Pascal. And he was saying that, again, my memory is shocking. I can't remember what he said, but it was basically down the line of all of humanity's problems, probably a bit of an exaggeration, but all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit alone in a room in silence, something like that. And I think that speaks such a truth and volumes in this time, especially because that's what's happening a lot of us here, And I think in the last 100 years or so, we've become so connected, but yet so disconnected from ourselves. There's so many distractions and we're not taught how to sit in silence or sit in solitude. And with all them distractions there, it's very hard when you sit with yourself and to try and focus inwards. It's very, very difficult exercise to do. But, there can be fear behind that too. But I think once you get past that fear, once you sit with it, when you face the boredom and you overcome that, that's where the gold is. The gold of really, really getting to know yourself. And fear can stand for like face everything and run, or it can mean face everything and rise. So face the fear and dig deep and really, really get to know thyself, as Mr. Socrates said, to know thyself. You can ask yourself questions like, there's so many ways of getting to know yourself. Just even Google it. How do I know myself? Give me example questions. But like, ask yourself, like, what are my fears? What makes me sad? What makes me angry? Happy? What are my dreams? What are my ambitions? How do I relate to people in my close friendships or with my family? What annoys me about people? Why that annoys me? Who are my role models and why? What's my thoughts on death, on risk, on control, on authority? How do I react to all them? There's so many ways we can look at ourselves and examine ourselves. Even, like a child asking the 5 whys, but why? Go deep within ourselves, and you can unturn some rocks deep within ourselves, and it's not pretty in there, but I think it's a great opportunity to go there in this time, and always to mirror yourself against Christ, as we're being called to be Christ-like, and examine his character. What would he say? What would he do? And am I being like that? And if not, why not? Why am I? And you can learn a lot about yourself by going there, but it's not easy. It's not easy. And also, in our home as well, or whoever we're with in this time of isolation, we're being pushed up against each other in a tight home or whatever environment you're in. And also, you're being called to love these people you're with. I mean, these are the people I'm sure you really, really care about. You wouldn't be living with them otherwise. Maybe not. But we're being called to love them. And our struggles there reveal a lot about us too. We can learn a lot about ourselves in them situations too. So there's great lessons to be learned in this time. Really, really is. So yeah, that for me is something I'm trying to focus on a lot, is learning a lot about myself. And yeah, another thing is I'm getting really to to learn about God as well, I started this series called Francis Hogan Voyage, and it's about the Gospel of Matthew. Just so I'm really set myself, an aim to study a gospel. And she's just an incredible teacher, really, really bringing it to life and just coming at it from all angles. So by getting to know God, by getting to know myself really deeply in this time, that's something I would encourage you to do as well. Today's gospel, just to finish up, today's gospel is a great piece of scripture. I think it was John 11:4, and again, I won't remember. As you can see, I'm brutal at remember. And it's something where Jesus is saying is this illness, I'm not even going to attempt it because I'll just ruin it. But look it up. I think it's John 11:4. It's in there. Or just look up today's gospel. And it's so apparent for today. And yeah, I leave you with this quote. And I was reminded of it when Leo Varadkar was talking about cocooning. We must cocoon. And, a lot of us, I'm sure, are facing times of loneliness and isolation now. But in these times of loneliness and isolation is when a caterpillar grows its wings. So go to your room, be grounded, learn about yourself more deeply. Learn about God, and let's grow our wings. So I'll leave you with that. I can't believe I talked for nearly 12 minutes. I don't even know what I said. So sorry I took 12 minutes of your precious Sunday. All right, mind yourselves and God bless. All right, all the best. Go for school. And don't forget the bread. Good luck.